Students of class 6, welcome back to DB Sir Physics classes. In my previous physics class, we discussed there about pinhole camera. Today, we want to know a phenomenon of light which is known as reflection of light. So first we have to know what is reflection of light. The phenomenon of bouncing back of light into the same medium from a surface separating another medium is called reflection of light. To get the clear idea of reflection of light, see the diagram on the board very carefully. Now here we consider A is a source of light from where a light ray AO falls on a surface. OB is the light ray which is bouncing back from the surface, and this phenomenon is called actually the reflection of light. Regarding the reflection of light, you have to know certain terms, and the terms are: number 1, incident ray. The light ray which falls on the surface known as incident ray. So according to this diagram, AO is our incident ray. Next, reflected ray. The light ray which is bouncing back from the surface is called the reflected ray. According to this diagram, OB is our reflected ray. Next, reflector. The surface from where the light ray bouncing back is called reflector. Next, point of incidence. The point over the reflector on which the light ray incident is called the point of incidence. Next, normal. If we draw a perpendicular at the point of incidence on the reflector, that perpendicular is known as normal. So according to this diagram, ON is the normal. Next, angle of incidence. The angle made by incident ray with the normal is called angle of incidence, which is indicated by I. Next, angle of reflection. The angle made by reflected ray with the normal is called angle of reflection, which is indicated by R. Now student, one thing you have to remember, in our nature, which is observable to us, that is due to the reflection of light. From the source of light, the light ray falls on the object, then reflected, and the reflected light ray reach into our eyes, by which we are able to see the object. Now student, the reflection of light obey the two different laws which are known as the laws of reflections of light. So first law, see the diagram very carefully. According to the first law, the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal are always lie on the same plane. According to our diagram, on the plane of whiteboard, the incident ray and the reflected ray and the normal are lies over here. Okay, and according to the second law, the angle of incidence, that is I, always equal to the angle of reflection, that is angle I equal angle R. Okay, next we have to know the types of reflection. Depending on the nature of reflector, the reflection of light are classified into two categories. Number 1, regular reflections, and number 2, diffuse reflections. So first we have to know about the regular reflection, for which the reflector should be highly polished like a plane mirror, Okay, so whenever a reflector is highly polished and the light ray incident on that reflector parallel to each other like this, after reflections the reflected light rays are also parallel to each other, and this type of reflection is called the regular reflection of light. The example of the regular reflections are: number 1, reflection from mirror, and number 2, reflection from still water surface. Next, diffuse reflection. Whenever the reflector is rough reflector like this, okay, from this type of reflector, the diffuse reflection takes place. And in this type of reflection, if the light ray falls on the reflector parallel to each other, after reflections they are not parallel to each other, they are scattered in different directions, and that type of reflection of light is called diffuse reflections. Okay, and diffuse reflections occur from reflection from a book and reflection from the rough wall. These are the examples of the diffuse reflections. Now student, here there is a very important question. Why the screen of cinema hall made rough? If the answer is, if the screen of cinema hall is highly polished, then after reflection from the screen, the light ray goes in a particular directions, and then only the persons who are sitting in that region are only able to see the cinema on the screen, which is a problem. To overcome this problem, we have to make the cinema screen rough, from where the diffuse reflections of light takes place, so that the light ray after reflections scattered throughout the hall, for which every persons of the cinema hall are able to see the cinema on the screen. Now student, read this portion very carefully. This is a very important portion for yourself. Thank you.